Have you wondered how to break a mental habit using an app? Well, there's an eating habit breaker called Eat Right Now. And I wanted to give you my honest review of this little app that I used for about a month, the good and the bad. And it's a really neat concept. Eat Right Now, it's very well put together little app. And what the idea is it takes you through a process of learning mindfulness techniques and applying them to your eating habits. I think there's sort of a wave of this type of thing. There's a wave of mindfulness apps. I've never used any meditation apps. There's this particular app has been also adapted for, I believe, quitting smoking and some other kind of a craving type of a intervention by the same people. Whereas there's another one called Noom, which is just for eating, but it's both of them have a behavioral component, and I was intrigued by that, but I ultimately wasn't successful. However, I think that really just speaks to who I am. It doesn't necessarily speak to bad things about the app. The idea is you watch a little lecture, very short, and everything, like I said, it's very easy, it's very concise, so I think that's great. All of the explanations are given to you by the author, and right now I'm blanking on his name, Dr. Judd. I want to say Judd Brewer, but anyway, there's a sort of a tool that you have, and you have a stress test, a check-in, a craving, and a want-o-meter, and then you have lessons each day. And so I went through, like I said, several weeks of it. I could have gone longer. And the idea is that you're supposed to break the habit loop. And he makes a very excellent point, which is that you cannot break it intellectually. So he says sort of there's three levels, or three gears. And what you want to do is get to this point of disenchantment with your habit. And I believe that there's a guy named Alan Carr who wrote a book about It's Easy to Quit Smoking, something like that. I suspect, and that's been adapted to many, many other types of addictions, like, anywhere from eating to gambling to drinking, and actually in many languages as well. And I believe it's a similar idea where you're breaking your enchantment with the habit. And again, that has to happen on an emotional, sort of instinctive level. So I had some great insights by doing it. One of the first things that you do, and so I did it for free for a month. No, I paid for it for a month. But you can also do some of the free stuff. But I paid $19 or $20 for a month. I canceled it, and they charged me, but then they gave me my money back. So good customer service on their part. So when you watch these videos, one of the things that they point out is, you're getting a reward from your habit, your eating habit, or your smoking habit, or whatever your particular habit is. But of course, as we all know, there's a cost, and that's why we get upset. But part of the reason why we maintain the loop is because we then beat ourselves up about the habit, and then we have to comfort ourselves for beating ourselves up by going back to the habit, right? So all of that is good. Like I said, the most beautiful aspect of it was the very first meditation that you do for mindful eating. And that was really cool. It was unexpected. I noticed some physiological things. For instance, it just happened just now, when you contemplate eating, your mouth starts to salivate, right away. So it's kind of interesting how much your mind plays, but how much when we're in the habit of quickly eating and overeating and eating while distracted, it's another point, salty and crunchy foods. I never really realized that, but salty and crunchy foods, clearly there's something, hardwired in us that we want those things, in addition to the sweets, of course, and the fats. So I think the one thing that I took away from it is this concept of, I think all mindfulness stuff is about becoming awake. And so, this ability to wake up and go, oh, I need to pay attention to my eating right now. I'm eating. So, but I think we all know most of these things. And the app has a lot of reminders. I found the reminders to be very annoying. Of course, I could turn them off, but I didn't. So I found the reminders to be annoying and almost like nagging. And then I also found that some of the stuff on the community and stuff, it was interesting, but it was sort of sanctimonious, and it's very prescribed. I think they're very careful not to, they don't want abuse on their forum, and which is great. I think a managed forum is so important. However, and I even think, I don't have an eating problem. I don't have disordered eating, but I could imagine where maybe they have to be extra careful because people who do have disordered eating possibly, you know, could use this in that way, right? Um, or begin to obsess or whatever. But that brings me to my other point, which is I saw a video not very long ago, and this woman was saying how she lost weight with her mind, and I thought it was a very creative, it was a very good topic. And her point was really, she went through all the usual things that we all do, of extreme workouts and extreme focus and all this stuff, and then ultimately when she kind of let it all go and let go of that need, and also incidentally perhaps was happy and all this stuff, then all this weight sort of fell off. And but the thing that really stuck with me about her story, and I think this is very critical, is there are things that our body just does and takes care of, and on some level we don't want to insert our mind too much into them. Like blinking. Like once you start thinking about blinking all the time, now I'm going to be screwing up my blinking. But or yawning, or certain things, it's like when our mind gets obsessed about them. And I felt like, in a way, well, first of all, thankfully I don't have a problem, a binge eating. I overeat? Yes. Do I eat for comfort? Yes. Do I eat sweets and baked goods and all this stuff? Yes. I have all of those things that I think anybody surrounded by abundant food as we are does. But I don't have an eating disorder per se. And so in a way, I think the mindfulness is nice, and this was only a brief introduction to mindfulness, but I actually can see where, as they say, the mind training, it's very difficult, and I want to get better at that. And so perhaps I'll work on meditation, because I can see where all the things that we do mindlessly, and we're very much encouraged to do that these days. It just gave me a thing right now. So that's eat right now. So anyway, all those things, those check-ins, or those moments of awareness are very important, and we need those. But at the same time, eating is eating. And so I think, when I'm reading all these people and their journeys and everything, it's like, I guess I don't have room for another journey. And again, that's just me, but I have more important things that I want to focus on. I've got a musical journey, an artistic journey in my life. And so I know I need to exercise to feel my best. That's just who I am. But I eat pretty healthy. I don't drink, I don't smoke. So, yes, I would like to not overeat, because I do overeat. I live in a household with a bunch of big men who all overeat, and we cook a lot, and I bake bread. And so, I gained some awarenesses, like, if I bake bread, that bread is gone in a day, and most of it was me eating it because it's just so delicious. I just can't resist it. But I don't eat any junk food. I mean, I really don't. So, again, turning it into a giant journey for me is not necessary. But, it might be useful for you. And like I said, the most important aspect of it was the mindfulness. And then certainly, perhaps if you really do have a deep problem with eating, this could be a good app for you, or a good process for you. And I know I just probably didn't give enough time, but really, like I said, the sanctimonious and the sort of the nagging started to bother me and wear on me, and then I had a bad reaction, actually. So you figure out like what makes you tick. Everybody's different, maybe, but definitely if I feel I'm being nagged or pushed, and this is just, I know this is a very common response. So then I get rebellious. So then it's like the phone is like ding ding, hey, are you feeling good? And I'm like, no, and now I'm overeating. So then I thought, yeah, let's just back off on this whole thing. I don't really need this particular thing. So I think on the positive side, I was worried when I went into it, is it like a cult? It's not like a cult. I think it's pretty good. I think. Oh, another thing that bothered me is that they are very smart. I think it's made here out of the Bay Area, San Francisco area. So technologically, it's pretty smart, pretty well done, and so they're very aware of whether or not you're active. And so when you're not active in the app, then you start getting emails from like the vice president and the president of the company that made the app. And again, that's just like, you know, cool it. It's just too much, and maybe they've got venture capital that they got to pay back or something. I don't know. But, and then the final point also that somebody observed in the forum was that sometimes when they were talking about certain foods, there's sort of, they're talking about good foods and bad foods, basically. I mean, maybe not in those exact words, but that's the implication. And I think maybe that's problematic, especially for people who are prone or have had eating disorders. So obviously, like the value judgments, maybe not so great. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. And as you can see, it's completely honest. I didn't want to, I'm not savaging them by any stretch, but I'm also, um, I am not like I'm not a absolute success story, I would say. But I do think it shows that I need some more mindfulness training, definitely. But I think maybe I would want it to be not exactly around food and not around eating. So I hope that was helpful. Have you tried something like this, some sort of behavior change app? And do you think this is an effective way, using an app to change a mental process? Thanks for watching. Bye.